Welcome to the Bad Art Show with me, Jenna Sparrow.
Hi, I'm Tom Segura.
Oh, nice. Tom's you're looking better.
Yeah.
Thank God you got your beard back.
Yeah.
Did he shave it?
Oh, it's just, it's
Oh, I
creepy.
didn't
I
even
can't
know.
ever shave mine.
No, I can't either. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
David Tell hit you with the tall Segura once, and that's pretty funny.
That is good.
Was that tell us that? Hey, tall Segura.
Classic Attell.
That's a
Yo,
good.
some
Wait,
guy-
I have to introduce people. Kurt Metzger and Ben Kissel are with us today.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
For the Bad Art Show. What were you going to say?
That guy thought I was Segura. And
Oh, that is funny.
some dude outside the food
Oh, a fan?
trucks.
Yeah.
He goes, "Yo, you're the guy," to me, and I'm like,
Yeah.
who, what?" And he goes pointing to his friend and talking, and I'm like ordering, and he talks to her. He says, "Wow, you're a lot hotter than I thought you'd be."
Which is a weird thing to say to someone. So I'm like, this guy's
I'm
drunk.
like, "What? That's
What's
weird."
nice.
And, yeah, I'm looking at them, and he's telling his friend, "That's the guy." And his friend's like, "That's not the guy."
Yeah, who is this
And
guy?
then it dawns on me, he thinks I'm Tom Segura.
Armenian Tom Segura.
He thinks I'm Christina P.
Oh, wow.
And he's realizing in that
I won't tell
moment
them that
he's
story,
drunk
but
and he
the guy
can't
said
be.
that.
Yeah, wow, good for them. Well,
Yeah. Anyway,
great.
yeah.
You got that famed buckshot of the Segura effect.
Yeah, that's the Austin thing because we live in the same
Wait,
city.
don't. He's a very rich man.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about
I
that.
got nothing.
I think he
I
lives
live in
by
the Kill Tony bucket.
He lives by Ted Cruz. He's like really rich.
Oh,
so.
wow. Well, I'm sure he
a-
doesn't talk about that at all.
Okay, so what are we covering today on the Bad Art Show? We are covering the 43rd president of the United States, George W. Bush.
W.
If Hunter was good at it.
The war criminal that was so adorable, Josh Brolin had to play him in a funny movie.
Did he really?
Yeah, Josh Brolin
Yeah.
in W.
Oh, I've
And then
never
also
even
this
seen
whole
that.
administration full of war criminals. Donald Rumsfeld was played by Steve Carell because he's like kind of lovable too.
What a bunch of goofs.
Yeah, isn't
You
that
see the
funny?
Cheney movie with
Yeah,
Batman?
Vice was infuriating because it was just like he's sort of a human too, right?
Adam McKay made that.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Yeah. So
What happened to Adam McKay? He really.
I don't know. I don't know anything about comedy. I don't really watch comedy, so I thought Vice was
I heard it was
atrocious
bad. I didn't-
interpretation of literally one of the most heinous vice presidents in American history.
People.
And a megalomaniac.
Yeah, not just vice presidents, like people. Oh,
The fact that he had, we'll talk about it, but
Yeah, he'll
the
get it.
fact that he has somebody, like someone keeps him alive
yeah.
Yeah, I
is
say
really
alive.
sad. Yeah, because
I go, how is he alive?
It's a bionic heart. He's literally the Tin Man.
I think that he's
Yeah.
in a deep underground base projecting his conscious into his human pig hybrid daughter, Liz Cheney.
It's possible.
I
Yeah.
think that the wrong guy got shot in the woods that day.
Well, and then George
Why,
W.
what do you mean? And survived? Who cares? Who cares
Yep.
who got peppered a bit?
And then that
I mean,
guy,
it hurts. That's
that
one
guy
of my
got shot
points.
by Dick Cheney and then had to apologize to Dick Cheney for getting in the way of his gun.
Are you kidding?
Is that? I thought he
Yes.
apologized for like embarrassing him or something.
Yeah,
Like,
no, he got shot, and then Cheney was like, "Oh, apologize for getting shot by me."
Are
and then
you
he was
serious?
like, "I'm sorry,
he
Dick."
did that out of the goodness of his heart.
Oh yeah, they're really nice people. Anyway, George W. Bush, painter. I call him the reverse Adolf because he started out.
He can do hands.
He can do it. Yeah, he started out as you wanting to start a world war, and now he's a painter.
That is
as
actually
opposed to the opposite.
that is a
where-
really good
yeah,
point. He
Adolf
is
did the
on the-
paintings and then started a war, and Bush he just does it his own way.
Yeah,
He's a man
he
of the
is
people.
kind of a reverse Hitler in
Yeah.
a way.
He's the nice one of the family.
He actually is.
He actually is. And we're going to get into it because throughout this episode, I always hated George W. Bush growing up. I just remember I loved punk music in middle school and they told me to hate him. And I didn't know
what
that
band
much.
told you? Green Day?
No effects.
No effects.
It was
Yeah.
no effects.
It was
Yeah.
no effects. Yeah.
Does no effects like him now? Because we got to fight
No,
Trump?
they also don't like Florida, which makes me not like No Effects now because how do you not like Florida?
I separate the art from the artist, except for George Bush.
Yeah.
This is the only artist I don't separate from the artist.
Oh, I connected deeply, and I think it's like a cry for help and what have you.
We'll get into that for sure. So
This might actually have to be a three-parter now that
yeah.
I'm starting to talk. My rage, my
building.
college rage is coming back.
yeah. So that's the other thing. You guys are a little bit older than me. So I don't remember as much. I actually learned a lot putting this together. I'll put
Yeah.
it that way. So born in New Haven, Connecticut. A quote of his about being a chief executive is be bold within reason and daring in application.
That's like the painting.
Yeah, bold within reason.
Yeah.
That's
So
a good point.
not bold. So in
Yeah.
other words, not bold.
Yeah.
And then, but daring in application. So that's called being really, really stupid and kind of not knowing what's up.
Yeah, but he knows some words. So
Yeah.
there's that, you know?
Yep. Do think later.
Dude, honestly, most people are stupid. If he was like, most people, even after living through George W. Bush and
Horrible.
the secret president, Dick Cheney, they suddenly believe the government's fine and that you're crazy for thinking there's like a deep. I've had people go, "What's a deep state?" You know who made that term up? A leftist Berkeley professor.
Sure.
Peter Dale Scott. He wrote a book called The Deep State. He studied them for 50 years. So that's a left-wing concept that somebody threw out there, and then now it's like a thing of, what are you, crazy?
And now the
you
country,
remember this?
The country is so fat, it's a deep dish state, isn't it? Isn't that
So,
fun?
yeah.
So obesity, it's an
I
epidemic.
can't argue that.
It's an epidemic.
Yeah.
It's true. So a little bit about his childhood. He moved from New Haven, Connecticut
cares?
to Odessa, Texas, because he's an artist and we have to go over his background.
Absolutely.
His
part of it?
closest younger sister, Robin, so his little sister Robin died of leukemia at age 3.
That's what they told people, yeah. I don't know.
I mean, who knows? Honestly, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's
I
true.
assume she was eaten by Barbara to build strength to make more boys.
It's very, very possible.
He has another sister also. I found this quote interesting because this was a historian speaking about him, that they considered him to be the president who took us from a post-Cold War America to a new world of threats.
Is that a compliment or an insult?
It sounds like an insult to
It
me.
sounds like no. It sounds like they're complimenting him to me, even though it should be an insult. Is what it sounds
It's
like.
the axis of evil, even though it wasn't an axis, because somehow North Korea fit in there.
Yeah.
It was Afghanistan,
remember that in
Iran,
North Korea?
No,
Whatever
Iran,
happened
Iraq,
with
and
them?
North Korea, which is not an axis.
Wait, remember
but okay.
we were so desperate because they were going to come up with nukes. We sent Seth Rogen and James Franco
That's right.
to kill them. Okay?
Yeah, but they're not friends anymore.
And because if they get a nuke, it's all over. And,
yeah, and they're so close.
And then they got a nuke. They haven't. They got a nuke.
Sort of.
Oh no, they got one. And then
Kind of.
I black out. I don't remember what happened.
Yeah.
And when I came to, we were arguing if women had dicks.
There we go. All right, fantastic. I love that.
That was a good recap. So we have to go a tiny bit into his father. I know this is about his art, but he paints his father a lot. So I feel like this
That's
is
not. Oh wow.
very important.
I wonder if that has any significance.
And also, I want to psychoanalyze this painting in a second after I go over some of the
What
details.
he's revealing the lizard people to us?
So Bush has a very complicated relationship with his father. He actually downplays how complicated it is. I put 41 on here because I think Bush Jr. gave them the nicknames 41 and 43.
Well,
Is that-
that's what they were in the presidency.
Of course, but
Yeah.
like calling themselves that.
That's cool. It's like their jersey.
Yeah, he like gave himself the nickname of that.
Okay, got it. I mean, it's not the most clever name, but okay.
Wait, who do you nickname 40?
Well, 42 would be.
he refers to his father.
Clinton would be Bill.
Yeah, he refers to his father as 41 and refers to himself as 43, even though everyone else calls him W.
Okay.
So I don't know. It's just, it is like a little bit
he's
of like a jock thing.
He's like a 60-year-old woman in Sonoma who's like, no, I'm 41.
Yeah, exactly. So the difference in between his father and him. So some things about his father. His father was a war hero at 19, star baseball player at Yale. Took a risk being an oil wildcatter. I found out through
The
research.
hell is that?
It's the people who go out and they
They
survey.
catch oily wild animals.
Oh, goofballs.
No, they survey land and then like prospecting kind of to see like what land they think
Uh-huh.
oil.
He's
will
a
be
There
on.
Will Be Blood guy.
Exactly.
Yes,
It's There
yes.
Will Be Blood. And actually, that's probably an apropos comparison between his relationship with his son.
That's actually a really good point. Yeah. So they do have, their family does have generational wealth, but it's weird because each generation has a different occupation that made them rich.
Yeah. So you know what that is, right?
What is that?
Well, go ahead, finish. I'll tell you.
So the great-great-great-grandfather was religious in Saratoga Springs, New York, which was the spiritualism movement. He was
Okay.
a
That's
religious
a
leader.
very important part of it.
Aspect to
That
it.
is interesting.
Then the next guy was a prospector, gold. The following
Yeah.
guy was
Very Mormon
steel.
of them, huh?
Yeah, following guy was steel, and then he himself was oil. So those are the things that made each
I mean,
generation.
those are the things he got handed to him. But so here's what happens.
Yeah.
You,
I love it because it's like the four things that pollute. Religion pollutes the mind, steel pollutes the world, oil pollutes everything. And then prospecting, I guess that doesn't pollute too much. You're just kind of looking.
Yeah, I don't know.
They all think that religion pollutes the mind. The whole goal is to eventually have a theosophical Madame Blavatsky inspired thing.
Yeah.
And like the Baha'is. You ever meet any Baha'is?
Yeah, Madame Blavatsky, I can't take her seriously. It sounds like she should own a
here's who
donut
does.
shop.
I want to bring this up next time.
Blavatsky's.
I tell
Sounds
Joe.
kind of good though.
It does sound good.
Yeah, it does.
A lot of custard.
Yeah.
I just put her fat face on it.
Oh, it'd be great. Blavatsky.
Let me
There's
tell you
no
something.
way for someone named Blavatsky to be skinny. It's just a
Dude,
curse
Yeah,
last
that's
name.
she
true.
gave me a plate of pierogies. I eat them.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yo, you gotta have Blavatsky's, dude. I would talk about it like that, like a fat fuck.
Yeah, it
you have
does sound like a
Blavatsky's?
custardy, like puff pastry
Yo, I want
place.
some Blavots.
Yeah, I love it. You just talk about food all day. I'm hungry.
Anyway, he's a fucking. So did you get the part about how his
Are you skipping
Barbara
ahead?
Bush's dad is probably Crowley?
I didn't write that down because that's a rumor, so there's no way to
no,
tell
but
whether or
look
not
at
it's
them together.
Barbara
true.
Bush's mother?
Her
Used to
actual
Alistair
biological.
Crowley in that Italian disgusting house with.
Oh.
Yeah,
interesting.
so he could potentially be her biological father. Is
I
the
do think they come
rumor.
from a long line of people who eat
Yes.
which Crowley loved to do.
Yeah, that actually
That's the
makes
thing
sense.
that's amazing of like, oh, that's the secret to this amazing power is I got to actually, I'm just
Yeah,
not,
just human feces, yeah.
I know church is boring. I remember being bored
Yeah.
at church.
Sure.
I wasn't so angry at it that I'm like, yeah, well, I'm going to eat that. First of all, they wouldn't even know what I was getting at.
I know.
They go, you don't have to do that. Just don't come. It's fine.
It's fine. Don't
Like,
bother.
no, look. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Crowley is just such an edgelord in such a dumb way for that. Like,
He's an asset of the British government and a lot of these people. So they're part of the Anglophile sector. When Woodrow, you ever read Tragedy and Hope?
Every day, every morning I read that. Every morning I read it.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I know. I read the
sounds
two
like you're-
words tragedy and hope. It's in lipstick on my mirror.
Oh, okay. You're thinking of the calendar. I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You think of the
With all
hunks.
the cats just hanging on.
You're thinking of the hunks calendar.
Oh, yeah. I love those.
It's a book by Carol Quigley,
Okay.
the respected, what they call it, not polyglot. They don't do it no more in college,
even
where
know
you
that
know
word.
a bunch of different interdisciplinary. And
oh, they still have that interdisciplinary
he was a
studies.
mentor.
Yeah.
Bill Clinton also names him as a mentor.
Okay.
Carol Quigley. Carol Quigley was invited to. He was given cosmic level clearance. It's called nothing to do with aliens. It's just that's how important this is.
It sounds fake, but I know it's real.
Cosmic
this one-
level.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Cosmic is the clearance above Q level clearance. The president,
Wow.
there's 8 levels above the president of the United States because they're there temporarily, is the way they look at it. So why are you going to know all the secrets? You might be gone.
Sure.
Or we might
Can't
make
be
you gone.
trusted.
So Carol Quigley was brought in, and he wrote the history of. Now, there's nothing like occultic or aliens or anything. This is the most dry. The book's this. Now, I've never read the actual book. I've read a book about this thick, which is explaining the bigger book,
Okay.
which is,
Yeah.
by the way, very hard to find. Very expensive. Richard Grove from Grand Theft World podcast sent it to me, but it's great because it explains what the thing. What's the secret group?
Sure.
And the secret group is from Cecil Rhodes. Remember Cecil Rhodes?
Every day I think about him as well.
Do you? Though?
No, I don't.
Do you know who he is?
No, I don't.
The father of apartheid.
Every day I think about apartheid. No, I haven't thought about apartheid enough.
A Rhodes Scholarship is
Rhodes
what Clinton-
Scholar is how I know the
Oh, got
Cecil
it.
Rhodes.
Okay.
So,
Okay, so the
anyone
Rhodes
who's a-
Scholarship, you'll notice they're not getting rid of. We can't say master bedroom no more, apparently. But
I think you can.
well, of course, I say whatever the
just
fuck I
did.
want.
Yeah, he went there.
No,
the M
it's
word.
the bad art style book doesn't say I can't say that. But what I'm saying is like there was people complaining about that, but the statues of Cecil Rhodes during
Yeah.
the great statue toppling times,
Oh yeah, no one messed with any of the
no
Cecil
one's
Rhodes
messing with the
ones.
Cecil Rhodes statue. Cecil Rhodes was, if you look up his history, he's one of the worst humans. Remember De Beers? Everybody hated them, the diamond, because
Yep.
they're hoarding diamonds.
Right.
They're not really valuable, and all, but now they're not the top anymore. Anyway, that family wasn't. He owned De Beers. He bought their name.
Yeah. Yeah.
they didn't own the diamonds.
And that whole SNL sketch, De
So
Beers.
he wanted it was like Paul Wolfowitz of England before he went off into South Africa. But he was like, we should like make it's the same bullshit NATO does, or like we should control everything,
Right.
or we don't deserve to be Anglo-Saxon. And they wanted to bring America back in the fold. They called it. And he started something called the Cecil Rhodes Round Tables. Okay, and he got a bunch of twat scioned families of royalty
Sure.
in Britain from like Oxford and shit. And they based it on the Freemasons, the Illuminati. Now, this is a guy writing a
Right.
regular history that none of this is all
What does
established
this
stuff.
have to do with George Bush
I
Sr.?
was about to say that. Thank you.
You got to follow me and not. I'm sorry if I can't TikTok it to you, but
We do want it's a TikTok world out there.
if you know about Bush. So Bush
which is
is.
going to be sold. By
Bush
the way.
is from that. There's an Anglophile
Oh, gotcha.
strain.
Oh, okay. So then,
Right.
There we go.
All right. So
Right.
this is the thing that I was going to say. His family has is his family has. They may not have money every single generation, but what they do have is connections and tradition and Yale. The Barbara Bush, W's daughter, is now a 6th generation Yale graduate.
Okay.
So Bush was 5th generation. H.W.
Is that
Bush
the old dark hair
was
one?
4th.
Who do you think was hotter, the blonde or the dark hair one?
Which one, as far as the daughters?
Yeah.
Like
W.
Jenna
Bush.
Yeah, the dark-haired one.
Yeah.
I think the dark-haired one, but honestly, I'd have banged both of them back in the day.
Well, that's
Even if they
that's
turned
a
to
very
lizard
brave
form.
position.
Yeah.
I can't believe you're even going there.
If she even turned to snake form during the lovemaking act, I would still do it.
You'd still be into it?
In full snake form.
I'm sure they're kinky just based on what I know about the Skull and Bones, which they were also all a part of. So I
You
bet
gotta
you they would
stick
be
your
into
dick
like
in
the
Geronimo's
spankings and
skull.
stuff like that. And
Well, you know
I'm
what's
sure that'd be fun.
You know what's interesting? This is Wikipedia, so this can't be proved for
Trusted,
sure.
trust me, I know.
Yeah, but apparently 5 generations ago, the great-great-grandfather was one of the founders of Wolf's Head Society.
Okay.
But the reason why I don't think that's true is because you cannot be in both Skull and Bones and Wolf's Head. And
Yeah, do you think
these
that
guys
rules
are
apply?
in Skull and Bones.
Hey, did you know in the mafia they weren't allowed to sell drugs, so they could get killed, and yet drugs were sold.
So you think they are in both organizations?
Do you
These
understand
guys might
what
be
this?
able to do it. Maybe.
Okay, this scumbag family. The thing. First of all, I like I said, if you never read Kathy O'Brien's book from the '90s, have you heard of that? The Transformation of America.
Every day.
Are you fucking with me
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know how many times I don't read
Every time
books.
he's done it, it's been a lie.
I do documentaries.
I listen to
I'm
it on
an
audio.
Yeah, I'm an audio learner. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Dude, I'll send you the audio.
No,
You know,
just don't.
He doesn't
I
want to
love
be
you, Kurt.
burdened with that.
I don't care. Just tell me. Tell me. You send me audio of you telling me.
Yeah, you tell him on your own time.
I have
can...
a podcast of that from yesterday that I can sell. You were there. But
There you go.
I love that.
The shit he's part of is so fucking foul. Remember his father is the one that was paying Nazis, and they said he was a big supporter of the Nazis. Prescott.
Right, of course.
Oh yeah, Prescott Bush.
And
Yeah.
this is what I learned from Tragedy and Hope, that book. Okay.
Did they go into the JFK assassination?
No, but but Rockefeller was the one funded Nazis, and he asked Prescott Bush to take the heat. There was no heat; he was fine. But
yeah, I think they were fine.
People say Bush's dad did that. It was actually Nelson fucking Rockefeller, and he was the George Soros-esque frontward-facing figure for people to go, you Prescott, and then it got smoothed over. Nobody cares.
Yeah, and now
there's
everyone.
more powerful people behind the scenes.
Yeah, now everyone has forgotten about it. Have you guys ever watched the eulogy given by George W. Bush at his father's funeral?
No, I
About
don't.
15 minutes long. I watched it
Why would I
yesterday.
have seen that?
Okay.
Because it's fascinating.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have
interesting.
thought to watch it at first, but then I was like, okay, I want to understand the psychology of the artist, George W. Bush.
Right.
And it's a somewhat recent thing after he started painting. So I'm like, okay, I want to listen to him talk about his father, try to pick up on their relationship, right? So as he's talking about his father, a couple of things became very obvious to me. He loves his father. His father did love him very much, but I think his father was always slightly disappointed in him.
Yeah,
his
he's a
entire
dullard.
life. Yeah.
Yeah, he birthed he and his wife made a bad one.
Yeah. And so
I think he's more dull than Jeb. I don't think he is. I think Jeb's a nothing.
I think
I would like W way better.
I would like him better. But
Photographic memory, which I find fascinating.
well, that's why he's a painter, because I have a photographic memory also. But
I know that you do not.
I do when it comes to images. Yeah. I can't with words because I'm like dyslexic. But
Words
with-
are images.
Not really.
No, it's different.
It's not the same thing.
Yeah.
But so I want to quote like a little part of this because I'm not going to quote the whole thing, but there's a really interesting part in it where he starts talking about how his dad was a mentor and a father figure to many people. And he starts naming these people. And many of them I don't know.
Who's
Arnold.
Don Rhodes and Taylor Blanton?
I don't know. Arnold Schwarzenegger, I know. But then he goes, and perhaps the unlikeliest of all, the man who defeated him, Bill Clinton. And there's like a little tinge of jealousy as he's saying this because the men that his father mentored were people that he viewed as potential leaders
Right.
in our country, and he viewed them in this really high esteem sort of way, and you can tell that he never viewed W that way.
Right.
And so there's like this little hint of
He was
sadness.
like, my son couldn't even get in the White House.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I bet you
Yes.
Bill Clinton knew how to party.
Yeah.
Remember when he went senile and
This
all
is-
started coming out what a piece of shit he is? Where he'd like grab.
Yeah. So
David Copperfield. That was his favorite joke.
Yeah.
that is funny.
Yeah,
So
well-
yeah, that quote ends with my siblings and I refer to the guys in this group as brothers from other mothers.
Well, that's also because this CIA piece of shit that did bring crack in, like all the black people said, and I was like, no,
Bush
but they
Senior?
did.
That's
Yeah.
a fact, yeah.
Yeah.
And so Clinton headed up in Arkansas. That's what the movie with Tom Cruise where he plays Bobby something, the pilot that brought the coke in. Bobby, not Seal. Bill Clinton and his brother Roger ran the cocaine smuggling that you hear about from Pablo Escobar. So he did a great job at that, Bill Clinton.
I'm sure he did. And then, of course, there was 800,000 people in prison when he took office, and afterwards there was about 1.6 million.
That's right.
Holy
Gangster
shit.
Rap.
Yeah, he doubled the prison population.
Gangster Rap came out.
I didn't know that was
synergy.
the actual numbers.
It was
That's
the 3
crazy.
strikes and you're out
Yeah.
policy.
I
which was
remember that, yeah.
absolutely atrocious.
Now, on the other hand, Rodney King, who my mom asked me to go out and get his book signed when he was signing his book, Rodney King, because my mom heard on the radio that he was a Jehovah's Witness.
He
She
was,
said, I want
yeah.
to get his book. I was like, yeah, all right. So I think I had Sade get it, but she brought it back, and I'm reading it, and he compliments George H.W. Bush because, according to Rodney King, George H.W. was so outraged by those cops beating him
Oh, it's horrible.
that he did something where Rodney King was able to get money and sue in a civil case. George H.W. did something specific to make it so he could get sue when he wouldn't have been able to. I don't remember what it was.
So you changed a little out there.
Yeah, and I thought that was interesting because George W. is credited with helping bring the AIDS down in Africa because they were like, you got to not do abstinence only. And he was like, oh, yeah, okay. Let's
Yeah,
not do
we're
that.
going to get to that in a minute. But so things about young W that we'll go over is that he is the complete opposite of his father.
How so?
Instead of going to war,
His wife don't look like Aleister Crowley?
his wife's kind of hot, actually.
His wife's smoking.
Yeah,
Laura?
so he doesn't go to war.
Oh, yeah.
He serves in the Air National Guard instead, which is a reserve Air Force.
Especially now.
No, she is still pretty, actually.
I'm joking around. But back in the day, come on, that was some milk.
She was good looking. Yeah. He doesn't make the Yale baseball team. Instead, he is a cheerleader for Yale.
Yeah, you know that guy gets fucking...
Well, that's a tradition of Texas governors.
To be cheerleaders?
Yeah, Rick Perry was also he was part of the Hubba Blue Boys or something like that.
That's
He was
fun.
also he
Rick
was
Perry
also
is
a
gay, by the way.
They're all gay.
No, that's a fact, but it's more like a power thing. But Rick Perry, because remember the controversy of N-word Head Rock where he would
Yes,
stay?
I remember where they were just vacation and
Yeah.
they were like,
Yeah.
it's just a name. And
Yeah.
it's like, well, it's a unique one.
Yes.
Well, people
Very
were taking it.
specific name.
People were taking it in a kind of way, but I think what N-word head meant was something a lot gayer than people thought.
Who knows? It very well could be.
It meant how Diddy thinks of N-word head.
I don't really want to pull the curtain back too much on these
Yeah,
people.
I'm not sure I want to know either.
Look at
Also-
young George doing his best to learn how his dad does it.
Exactly.
Also, Reagan was a cheerleader. He was both a football player and a cheerleader.
Interesting.
So
They're
he's-
also improv guys. No, I make that up.
every oil well that W or Junior, whatever we want to call him, taps in Texas comes up dry. So
for
he
him.
fails at all business situation.
Right.
What is the right word I'm looking for? But anyways,
Yeah,
he's
every business opportunity he fails at.
he
Hardcore
is
Hunter Biden.
he is a hardcore alcoholic and cokehead. Also, something interesting, he never admits to that.
What do you
No, I
mean?
thought that because he's sober.
He admits that he used to drink a little too much, but he never admits to the fact that he was a hardcore blackout alcoholic and cokehead.
See, and that's one of the areas where I would like him.
Well-
they never say the parts that are cool about them.
Well, you pointed out a very good thing that I didn't think of,
What?
which is because his memory. They show that in the W movie where he remembered all his frat brothers.
Yeah.
Which that's hard to do. It is Robin Williams. I saw him 3 years apart one time. And I didn't know him. I met him once. He goes, "Hey, Kurt," good. He remembered me. I'm like, how would you do that?
Yeah. Well,
It's a form of
Mike
photographic.
Tyson also.
Yeah, it's a form of photographic memory where you remember faces.
So you
and
said, and I'll never
images.
forget because of whatever weird shit he had to go through, he's got a photographic memory. So that would lead one to self-medicate really hard.
It must, honestly,
If
I would
you've
not
seen
want that.
bad things, which I guess I'll mention that now. Him being in Skull and Bones, I have a theory, and I told him this weeks ago, that the reason why George W. Bush is a hardcore alcoholic and cokehead is because of the evil family he's in. He has seen things that deeply damaged him.
I am sure.
And as a result, he has this coping mechanism.
Okay, I'm going to say
just
this
get
with
blacked
wild
out drunk.
speculation. I have not heard anything about it, but I just know
There's no
that
book about it.
no.
By
That you have to read.
I like your disdain for books, though. I admire that.
Harble Rubbleman wrote a book, Inside the Taint of Government. Have you not read that one?
No, what?
Perineum chapters. You didn't read that one?
Listen, don't.
You're going to love
I just had
Rubbleman.
Kyle Kinane go, "You know too much stuff." I'm like, oh, I guess I'll be a bad slave then.
You know things.
I guess that will make me a bad slave. I feel ashamed. Thanks. Good work living up to your beard, Kinane. Okay, so... shit, I forgot what I was talking about now. What was I just saying
You had a
before?
You
theory.
said you had a theory, and it.
Dick Cheney. You ever see Surviving the Game based, of course, on the
I
most...
did actually see that, yes.
Okay. As a boy, both him and Jeb were hunted naked through the woods by Dick Cheney. Now,
honestly,
Cheney wasn't going to kill
possible.
him. Cheney wasn't going to kill him, but they thought he was going to kill him.
Right.
And it was important to toughen them up to learn how to be leaders. I say everything you ever heard a cartel boss did or an African dictator, the crazy shit you've heard.
Cheney
like eating
has
somebody's
done it.
heart.
Oh, I'm sure Cheney
General
has done
Button.
it. I'm sure he's done it.
Yeah. Just understand your
No,
white
it's
leaders
Indiana
do
Jones
everything.
villain level
Yes.
when it comes
Yeah.
to Cheney. Absolutely. Yeah.
Your white leaders here do all the things you heard about the scary black leaders of crazy countries.
Well,
I
mean,
think they do
Cheney,
way worse.
He was the youngest chief
And
of
worse.
staff. I think he was 28 when he was chief of staff.
Oh, what did he have to do to get that role?
I'm telling you, this guy is a megalomaniac and a mega mind in many ways. But
Yeah, he's garbage. I mean,
yeah.
Okay.
also, I'm happy with W getting the DUI at 30. I got mine when I was 19.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, well, come on, you have to.
What
If you-
part of Wisconsin are you from?
That was in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. I got it. And it was ironic because it was the most sober I ever drove drunk. I was actually the DD. But because I was 19, I blew 0.9. It was 0.8 was the limit at that time. But because I was underage, they got
Automatic.
me.
Started drinking young?
I started drinking at 12. I'm from Wisconsin.
Oh,
So
you beat
it's
me.
not some kind of personal trauma, it's just being from Wisconsin.
That was a cultural thing and trauma.
Was it mead because you guys are all... What are you, some
trying
kind
to
of
say?
Swedish... I don't know what in the hell you are.
No, it was not. It was everything. But no, not mead. It's too sweet.
No,
It
I
is
know.
too
I'm
sweet.
just mean like, was it cold or something?
It was cold.
But I do agree with you that if he would be a little bit more open, which he's somewhat open about the alcoholism,
doesn't want to
but
be
he
murdered,
kind of
probably.
like what?
He probably doesn't want to be murdered for being too open.
Yeah, I'm sure there is a little bit of like, you still do have to be in political office, so you can't just come out and be like, I'm a fuck up, But like he is
Yeah,
a fuck
it's
up.
pretty well understood.
Yeah.
Look, you know why you know a lot of rich kid types that don't feel bad for the Menendez brothers, who, by the way, their story is 100% true, that what their dad was doing, the shitty
Well,
show.
he also had with the Menudo kid
Dude, that's-
collaborated
yes.
that the dad was a dealer.
Okay. And this is why people are like, oh, if you have money, you have no problems.
That's not true.
No, I know. Our friend Monterey, who's a
Yeah.
comic, you could see like, oh, that's how we're living life. But the people on the bottom and top of society are going through the same horrific abuse. That Spartan shit that the Menendez, I promise you, if you come from a power family, you did all that Menendez shit. That's why they don't have too much sympathy. What? My dad
Well, I think
me in.
yeah,
Well, I
think
was just
it's-
watching.
yeah.
I'm sorry, go on.
I just think it happens at every level.
Yeah.
I think people like to pretend like it doesn't happen.
But I
at the
got
top,
like I
you
said.
know?
Now my mom just wanted to be friends and beat me. It wasn't like him, sexual. But
Yeah, she
my
didn't
mom
like
didn't.
you like you.
My mom didn't do specific calculated abuses because she thought that would program me for power later.
Yeah, yeah.
So she was more like jazz. You had to listen to the notes she wasn't playing.
Oh, I see.
She would freeform it.
It's the punches she doesn't throw.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
that's that.
Well, I was
but
just
he probably
watching-
got specific abuse for specific reasons.
I was just watching the Mr. McMahon documentary on Netflix, which is actually really
Ed
good.
Is it
McMahon.
good?
But he alleges that there was incest, that his mother actually.
Yes, I promise you.
assaulted him.
I believe
and
it.
and it really kind of puts into perspective why he is the way he is. And I'm
Victims
sure
are perpetrators or victims are perpetrators. It's
and
all
in-
the same.
In
It's a
W's
cycle.
case, much like
Yeah.
in Shane O'Mac's case with Vince, I'm sure he wanted his dad's approval, and he was a fuck up. And it must be, again, complicated. It's an understatement, I think.
Yeah,
So
I
that
think
thing
so
of Vince
too.
McMahon, that's whenever you hear about royalty, look, watch Game of Thrones if you don't know about reading history. It's all incest and keeping the power in the family because your blood's valuable, right?
That's what they say.
So it's just if you think of history, all the most powerful leaders of the world, all of them, it's like the the aristocrats joke from that movie that
Yeah,
that they said all comics tell, but I'd never heard until that movie.
I know. I still don't know what the hell that
I
was all
think
about.
only Bob Saget told that joke.
Yeah, it's
right?
insane. But so it's not a good joke. But what is funny is it is an historically accurate assessment of aristocrats.
Oh, sure.
You make
They're all
up
having sex
a
with each other.
depraved thing and go the aristocrats, and that's what they did.
It's true.
Yeah.
You see Wendy Liebman on that? The one funny version, she goes, then the family, they get whipped cream and strawberries, and then they eat the strawberries. And I didn't understand the assignment.
Gives up. Yeah.
Wendy
That's the best you could do with that garbage.
Yeah.
There you go. The old
So
Liebman.
gets DUI at 30. After at 31, marries Laura, who Kurt thinks is hot. And
I thought she was hot. There's an expiration date.
I don't know.
worry.
I have no idea. I'm
at
totally
age
neutral.
40, the day after his birthday, he gets sober. He partied so hard on his birthday that night that Laura said that he and his buddies were just going around in circles telling the same stories over and over again.
Right. Yeah. That's cool
And
conversation. That's men's conversation.
Yeah. It's either Jim Beam. Who's Jim Beam? Is that one of his college friends?
Jesus.
Jim Beam.
You don't know?
I know it says
It's
Beam.
a typo. Sorry.
Oh, it is a typo.
Yeah,
Jim
Jim
Beam.
Beam.
I do
It's
that a
either,
lot.
It's
I do
either
that a
Jim
lot.
Beam or me. And
Does
it's
he know
like,
Jim
well,
Beam though? Because a lot of people he was connected. He knew people.
Yeah.
Does he know Jim?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, Billy
either-
Graham was a piece of shit. That's suspicious.
Well, that's what I was about to point out next. So right around the time that he gets sober, he meets Billy Graham. And they form, I wouldn't say a close friendship, but he goes on a walk with him and Billy Graham changes his opinion on things.
So Billy Graham reprogrammed him after the program broke down from the trauma.
Billy Graham is a hugely successful political figure.
Yeah, he's a
Is he?
scumbag.
I actually don't really know
yeah.
anything about him.
He's a scumbag.
I
He
had
was
to
in on
Google
MK
him.
Monarch hardcore, Billy Graham.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
He
I
was
had to
garbage.
Google him. I didn't know who he was.
I would
But
actually say Billy Graham is more powerful than all of these people.
really?
Yeah, he was
Yes.
he started the
Yes.
mega church idea and then revolutionized corporate religion.
Think of how
I mean,
anti-Christian that is.
The only good thing
I
about him
know.
is that Johnny Cash liked him, and
I mean,
like Johnny Cash.
That is really anti-Christian. That is a
It
good
was so
point.
horrible.
It
yeah.
really specifically says that narrow and cramped is the way, and few are the ones finding it. So there's never going to be a awakening where the whole country's. If that happens, that means it's not Christian.
No,
If you want to believe in what it says, that's what it says.
I'm actually a massive proponent of everyone staying asleep. Like everyone's like, woke, you gotta be woke, awakening. I'm like, you know what? Go to fucking bed.
Yeah, I also love
well,
sleep.
they
Yeah,
haven't.
sleep. Everyone should go
It's
to sleep.
great.
Yeah, they've been on speed. A lot of these people.
Yeah, just take some Zoloft, relax.
That's
So-
why Sleepy Joe backfired, calling him Sleepy Joe. Like a lot of people are like, that sounds nice, a nice sleepy.
It's very cozy. It's like a chamomile tea.
Just hearing him like, hey, why
I
don't you
take
go-
a cup of Sleepy Joe every night.
Your dad, grandpa sniffs you to sleep at night.
Oh my God! To talk about it. He does it on camera, so everyone's just like, "No, it can't be weird." We all saw it.
Jimmy Savile.
We're
That's the
all
Jimmy Savile movie.
traumatized
Siri, we
together,
are
yeah.
all.
Dude, I worked on Sacha Baron Cohen
Literally.
show, and I watched because I repeatedly said on pranks, no one is gonna. I would go, this is stupid. No one's gonna do this thing I'm pitching, but I had to, and every time they did it, they did it every
what,
time
This
because
Is
the
America?
camera. Yes.
Yeah.
Because there's something about the camera that puts you in a hypnotic, like
It
a
really
pheasant,
does.
like you're a fucking pheasant.
No,
It
it's like
separates you from humanity.
it's like when you get a chicken and you draw a line in front of him and it hypnotizes them.
Yeah,
The
really
camera
is.
is that line in front of
it's
you.
his cold,
also the-
dark eye that you just like.
It's
okay.
the craziest thing with I think one of the last situations with like Daniel Penny, for example, everyone's filming it. It's like, you could go like kick him in the head. Have him stop the chokehold if you want to.
Yeah.
It's like
Oh, they
everyone,
were
or
helping
people when
him.
people get hit by trains.
Yeah.
Why?
and people just like.
Why would they stop him from holding the guy when the guy was threatening all of
I'm just
them?
making an example.
Yeah. That was,
Right.
but I see what you're saying. Like, well, none of the people in the train felt any way about it. Yeah.
Right, because they were all looking through their
The
phones.
people
so
on the
they
train
separate.
testified for Penny because
We're
fuck
not
that
going
guy.
into the Daniel Penny situation. I was just saying when you film something, you separate yourself from it, so it's like, oh, I can't help.
Is
I'm
Kenosha
watching
in
it.
Wisconsin? It
Kenosha is in Wisconsin.
I played it and it was funny. The whole crowd was waiting for me to talk about the thing. What is it known
Oh,
before?
the Kenosha shooting. Very nice.
They're all waiting. Okay, so at this time, he becomes a part owner of the Texas Rangers baseball team. So that's the first successful business deal he ever creates. And then after that, he decides to help his father on his 1988 campaign for presidency.
Literally like Chris Farley in Black Sheep.
Yeah.
Where he's just
Oh,
like,
you're
vote for my
right.
dad. Vote for my dad.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so funny. I never even thought about
And
that.
speaking of complex relationships, Ronald Reagan and HW hated each other because they had a very tumultuous campaign in 79 where they were in a primary together, or 78. And no one, HW barely got in there.
Yeah.
Because Dukakis was such a total fucking dud.
Yeah.
But no one really expected HW. Like between Joe Biden and HW, no one really expected them to be good presidents.
Well, do you remember that John Hinckley Jr., who I always mix up with Chapman, the Lenin shit, but Hinckley
Right.
was a family friend of the Bushes who
The
had,
musician, John Hinckley Jr.
no, from the Sinclair oil family, who's
You know he's a musician, right?
who?
Is it?
John Hinckley.
Well, I don't know. I think. Oh, now, yeah.
Yeah, it was
I haven't
fantastic.
listened to it.
Oh,
Is it good?
now he
He
is?
is, yeah. He was going to play in Brooklyn, but they boycotted, so they canceled him.
For sure. Okay.
Let him play.
I let him play.
Hold on. John
Man did his
Hinckley,
time.
John Hinckley
Yeah.
Jr. I just want to point out the idea that he did it to impress Jodie Foster. He killed he tried to kill a family friend of the vice president, tries to kill the president, who would make the vice president president, who doesn't like the president. And he did it because he wanted to impress Jodie Foster. I think she was impressed. I hope
I think
so.
she was like 12 at the time.
Yeah,
she was
she
like
was a
very,
child.
very
But I
young.
mean, that would make an impression on me. I would say, okay, you made an impression.
I wouldn't make an impression. I don't know if I'd be impressed.
That story sounds very stupid, but the funny part is the Sinclairs, the oil people, their family got bailed out. So I'm pretty sure Hinckley was another Sirhan.
But he was friends with the youngest brother, right?
Neil Bush.
Neil Bush.
He had plans to have dinner with Neil Bush the day after shooting Reagan. By the way, Ford.
I think that's what I think that was part of the station problem.
No, yeah, you pick a family member. So Gerald Ford,
yeah.
remember he got shot twice. Gerald Ford. Well, you weren't alive probably. I wasn't.
Gerald Ford?
Yeah.
No, I'm 81. Must have been in the 70s.
So Gerald Ford, there were 2 attempts on his life. One was from Squeaky Fromm, the Manson chick.
Oh, yeah.
And the other was from this woman from Berkeley who tried to shoot him because he was a vice president that wasn't elected. Like they didn't do a primary.
Oh, I remember listening
and
to her
just installed
interview.
him, and she was outraged. That's insane. But his vice president was Nelson Rockefeller, another guy that didn't like him and couldn't be vice president to anyone. And if you go back and look up people try, because I saw some British guy say this, and I stuck with me. He goes, I never understood why Americans have to shit the president. Like, it's not like a king. He's going to be gone. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a good point. Why would I have to? I wouldn't have to.
We're not very patient.
And you could get him out sooner.
No, it's not us. It's the people who aren't patient have big business deals that depend on who's president.
Well, let's get back here to George Bush.
Yeah. So
Look at him fucking blowing on that horn.
so
Got a lot
let's
of
see.
tail.
What was the last thing? He helps his father's campaign, and he finally feels like he has a place in his father's world.
Oh, this should be a musical.
That's cute.
He finally feels good about daddy. At this point, he runs for the 46th governor of Texas, and he wins 2 times. So 95 to 2000, he is the governor of Texas. And then this is where I start to remember him because I was a child, but goes up against Al Gore, and the election goes to recount in Florida, my state. What's up?
Oh,
And, and then so that goes south. He
We all
loses
said it
the
was
pop-
rigged, which is, by the way, a crime.
Well, also, I think
mean,
it
it
kind
was.
of was.
It was.
Here's the thing.
That's a crime, what you said.
He to rig the election. So he hires
Oh,
this
hold
guy.
on. Mr. January 6th wants to talk about how elections aren't sound.
He hires this guy, James Baker, who's
Rosebud Baker's grandpa. The
Is that
one
who
who
that
told
is?
Russia they would not expand NATO 1 more inch.
That's who that is.
Yeah, I meant to ask Rosebud when I saw her, and I didn't get a chance to. She probably wouldn't have told me.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so that guy is like super hawkish and essentially fixes it to where he gets the right amount of electoral votes.
Yeah, and
to
Roger
win.
Stone set up, I forget, it was at the when they stopped the count and everything, and the hanging chads and all that stuff. It was all a Roger Stone
By the way, Nicaragua has
creation.
reliable voting. Nicaragua, whose elections we condemned because we don't like them.
That's
Well,
where
they
my
have
buddy
a
Larry-
popular vote, right?
That's where my buddy Larry Lawton gets his cigars made.
Oh,
Check-
yes.
check out Larry Lawton's podcast, by the way.
But the reason that you can be like this is because they want it like that. There's going to be something rigged every single election. Your responsibility is to win past the cheating.
You have to, it's like when you play the Kansas City Chiefs. You have to win by 20 to win by 5.
Yes.
Because all of a sudden the flags start coming out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what Hillary did
Taylor
with
Swift has
That's a great
hypnotized.
analogy,
Yeah.
but it's true. That's
like-
the
So
Sarah
American
says Bush
election.
didn't win
really
the
is.
popular vote. I love that because who gives a shit? That doesn't decide it.
Well, that's the most frustrating thing about the American coverage.
Yeah.
It's always like, this person's up 3 percentage points, and you look at the swing states and you look at the Electoral College, and you're like, it doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Why are you
I-
telling me the thing is not applicable?
And then you see the plus or minus, you'll be like, plus or minus 7.
Why don't you call it the
I don't-
popular cope?
I hate it.
I
But
don't
anyway.
like the Electoral College just because I'm like, I don't like that it ever gets tossed up to where you could win one. And
Well, you
not
I
can't
would
have
do-
full democracy. Otherwise, people would be their vote would count.
My solution, dare I
Okay.
say, my final solution.
Oh, no.
No. But I would
on.
say the Electoral
the end of
College.
history, if you will.
I think if it was proportional representation when it comes to the delegates, so if you won 50% or 51% of the state versus 49, you get 51% of the delegates. But right now
Is
it's
that a
winner take
system
all.
that exists, or did you make that up?
No, it doesn't exist. But I think this would actually make it free.
But
that
wouldn't
sounds
that
kinda
just
good.
always mean that it equals the popular vote, though?
Well, that would be nice.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
But like, so then why
But
not
so
just have a
basically-
popular vote? And then
Well,
just
I
that's
actually
it?
think the popular vote, there's a lot of people who think like, oh, my team is always going to win. The popular vote, I just don't trust the vast majority of people.
I used to say
because
that, dude. And
now
this
that
guy,
Trump won the popular vote, I think a lot of people who were like on the left being like, popular vote's the way to go because
Yeah.
the Dems tend to get it. I think now they're just like, well, maybe the Electoral College is fine.
dude,
But proportional representation of delegates, that would, I think so.
the
Okay,
numbnuts
interesting.
that talk about it, that think the shit's real, such as your George W. Bushes, they say that the people in charge will never change the Electoral College because
No,
they
of
don't
course
want
not.
the advantages they get from the fuckery they all do.
Yeah.
Okay?
It's to help. It's theoretically to benefit small
But
states.
somebody changed my mind because I was like, I said this thing and I parroted something, which is like kind of, well, they ain't just New York and LA. We'll have all the votes in the electoral. You've heard the argument for like, and Coleman Hughes, credit to him. The way he goes, well, in California, they all voted against this thing. And he's right. People assume, such as the demographics is destiny comments they used to make, also known as the Great Replacement Theory, if depending on what side of what you feel. No, Hispanics actually don't want to be called Latinx. They don't care that Tony made a Puerto Rican joke. The
Puerto
like
Rican
bullshit.
joke didn't hit. I wouldn't say, but
Dude,
I don't think
you have
most
to
of
understand.
it.
Here's what you have to understand. They literally, somebody traveled back in time and said, Tony, you've got, and so it's like, are you sure it's not that good of a joke? You're like, you've got to tell that joke right at that moment, or else the world will be destroyed. And Tony made a brave choice to say that joke that was not that great. And and Tony, one more thing. You can never come out of the closet.
right. Well,
That's the final.
But some people
Donnie
are so
Darko saved all of us.
Yeah, some people are so gay they don't even have to. You just kind of know.
So I will mention on here as I'm talking all this shit, he did win the re-election. He did win electoral and popular vote on the re-election.
I remember that.
His second term. So that is something.
No, I remember that vividly. And my friend that voted for him was like, well, I felt like he should have to clean up his own mess. Like that. Somebody said it to me, and I'm like, people. That's why
great.
That's why they like starting
never heard
wars.
anyone say that.
The
No, it's
reason
like
they
when
start-
your dog. It's like when your dog shits in your house and your dad brings its nose to the shit, and
Yeah.
he's like, "What do you do?" It's like just clean, just go.
Statistically, they say
Get
if
the dog
a
out of the
president
house.
starts a war, they tend to be reelected if they're the one that started the war.
That's the don't change horses in midstream.
Right. So he was really,
Interesting.
my friend's just
Was
saying a
like
version of
campaign
that.
slogan.
Yeah.
Right. With a different layer. Okay.
All right.
Yeah. So now we're going to talk a little bit about his politics just because that's who he is as a person. So during a pre-presidency debate, he says when asked who is the most influential person to him, he says Jesus.
Great.
And he thinks nailed it, right?
Right.
And after the debate, his father tells him, you did great. Don't worry about that Jesus thing. You'll recover
That
from
is
that.
great because his father's a Luciferian fucking Freemason. So
Well, at least his father didn't believe in nation building.
no, his father believed in. Of course, he believed nation building. His father's.
No, right. He was in and out. He did it. He was.
Dude, the real power is not being president. We learned that from George W. Bush times. The real power is being in the CIA, such as the former head of
sure. When it comes to all of that.
Yeah,
stuff.
Yeah,
so,
that was his
No,
least-
they
That's
believe
different.
in all the things that they tell you about somebody evil that we went and had a war with.
I'm just talking about his presidential policies.
Yeah,
but,
I think
They're
interestingly
not his.
enough, Bush Sr. was probably least powerful when he was in office. When he was like head of the CIA,
Truly.
he was probably more powerful.
He was
Truly.
there during the time of that commission where they found out about their heart attack.
This is interesting, though, because this is a change in the voting electorate and the demographic when it comes to the religious right. W was really their pinnacle president.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
he was one of the first ones not
Right.
to skirt the issue. He didn't treat it like, oh, they're a bit of a fringe. He really
He
embraced it.
didn't treat it like he was playing politics. He was honest.
Yes.
Because he is a born again Christian.
Yes.
And he just went out there and was honest.
And that's why he's considered stupid because he wasn't savvy.
He wasn't playing the game of being a politician. He was just
It is
saying,
pretty stupid, by the way.
To
not know that what his dad knows that this shit's fake and like Jesus.
No, he doesn't. No, it doesn't. It's politics. None of this is real. I don't
I
believe
think
he's
he-
an
Right.
evangelical Christian.
I
don't-
do think he is.
No,
but
one of his split personalities probably is.
I do think he is. But I think that he is. I don't think he's as smart as he thinks he is, which is the big problem.
It's called being stupid.
If you got a photographic memory, a lot of people photographic memories. That's like smart's a very vague term, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's not.
There's
I
a difference
feel-
between savvy and smart. I know a lot of people that
Yes.
are quite intelligent, especially when they get spurgy. They get very intelligent about one thing, and you're
Yeah.
like
'Cause I
that
think-
girl that you sat next to with the Pikachu she's eating cookies with, the 30-year-old.
Yeah.
She probably is a computer genius. I know she
Maybe,
seemed like a
but
moron.
I'm going to say, I feel like after doing all this research, I think that myself and George W. Bush are the exact same level of intelligent.
Oh.
And we have a lot of the same
Give
issues.
me a ballpark IQ.
Mid.
There we
What's
go.
that?
Midfield.
No, I think he's got a high IQ. I'm not
No,
lying.
because
No,
he
he
has a
doesn't.
slight.
He doesn't.
He has the.
What is it?
What?
You know?
Well, I know he got
Oh.
C's at Yale, and
That
they
don't
were
mean
going
much.
to pass him no
I
matter what.
made very bad grades through most of school because I didn't care enough to try and I was partying.
I'm just going to judge the man based upon what
Yeah.
happened while he was in office and how the world became worse.
Yeah.
So I believe that
judgment.
shows
Well,
stupidity.
that's a fair. I think that's fair.
I think that's a very fair assessment. So he thought that he could redefine the right in a personal, populist, compassionate Christian way.
I remember this. I'm a compassionate conservative.
Yeah,
Compassionate
this was
conservative.
his thing. I put on there his father made sure he
Why?
didn't do that because his father did not like a number of those things.
Absolutely.
He didn't like the populist angle. He didn't like the
Right.
compassionate angle.
Wait, the compassionate. What?
Except in certain scenarios.
such as what?
So that Rodney King thing is a great example.
Because I think
showed-
Bush signed the Americans Disabilities Act.
Show compassion.
The first one.
Show compassion when it strengthens your hand. Is
Right.
Bush
His
Senior.
dad. So his
Bush
dad is
Jr.
Lannister, the head guy from.
Yes. Bush Jr. is show compassion to everyone as if you're Jesus.
Yeah, who's being a Christian, and if
this
you
all-
act like a Christian, you must be an idiot or a crazy person.
And this, of course, all created by out of the demonic mind of Karl Rove, who is not the only thing he worships is himself. And of course, he was the one who did all the whisper campaigns to get him elected governor.
Yes.
I know that name. Who is Carl Rove?
Karl
He's
Rove's
Turd Blossom.
He's the mastermind of the Iraq War, and basically the
He's
reason
not
that
the
Okay, I
mastermind
know
of
that
the war.
name.
he's
He's the PR
he's
guy.
one of them.
No, he's one of them.
Yeah.
But this was
But
decided a long time ago.
Without him, W would not have won.
Well, that's
He's a-
another.
that's a-
yeah,
he's a
that's
genius.
another reason why I said his father made sure that these things didn't happen because his father's behind the scenes more than I think even W realizes.
Yes, of
he
course.
is through
Look,
all
you have to
this.
understand. Think of it like a musical contract where it's like, or if you're a comedian, how can I sell you, right? Like Karl Rove's like a really good Ari Gold agent from Entourage. And he goes, how can I sell this guy? And
Right,
he
of
goes,
course.
people want to have a beer with him. That's the most ad campaign.
Well, and it's also very ironic because a lot of people feel that way about Donald Trump, who never drank, and of course W,
yeah.
you can't have a beer with him because he's a
you know
he's
what
a
Donald
recovered
Trump
alcoholic.
is? He's a gain of function virus that got out of the lab. So Hillary was
Well, it is true. I mean, it's,
Hillary polled unlikable 60%. So they asked him to run, and Obama, remember the joke he made?
Yes, of course.
That's to goad him. So they did a full court press to force him in.
Yeah, he had a phone call with Bill, and Bill was like, "Yeah, get in the ring." That'll
And
be
he's
great."
supposed to- yeah.
And he did a great job in the primary. And remember, during the I mean, we'll get back to this, but
No,
during
no.
the primary of Trump, he was on MSNBC all the time, Morning
Yeah.
Joe. He did what they wanted to do, but he did it from within the Republican Party. And then they were like, when it got serious, like now everyone will now they're not
So
going to like
Hillary,
him. And
everybody
they
thought-
all set him up.
They're
so fucking stupid.
Wait, so
Oh, God, I
Hillary,
hate it.
is his name for it? It's from the leaked emails from WikiLeaks. It's called the Pied Piper strategy. It's just wrestling. Hillary's been
It
a
is.
heel. People like Hillary, they like that she's a heel. She's like The Rock to them. Like she's a and a murderer, and they're like, oh, you're great. She's a powerful woman.
You know more about wrestling.
I live in New York for
think,
like
20
wrestling.
years
than we do.
watching
Yeah.
women that aspire. You got to do what you got to do in a man's world. That means murdering a bunch of people. So they need to make her a baby face.
Well, the nation building with Assad was, with Gaddafi was a massive.
Yeah, look at what she
blunder.
did.
Yeah.
Oh, her cackling about Gaddafi, because that destabilized all, well, whatever. So I don't want to get into her many crimes. Not the conspiracy ones, which I also think are real. The mass murders that everybody approved of on C-SPAN.
Right.
Okay? So she's got to be babyface now. So we got to get someone more unlikable to be the villain for this wrestling match. And then Trump won, and they
He
couldn't
is
believe...
unlikable though in many, but I guess he's
No,
likable in another way.
Because politicians suck ass. And
Nobody, that's the thing.
watching him trash... Remember...
in
what's his-
American
I guess-
politics.
Do you remember Ted Cruz?
Of course.
When he was going against Trump and
How could we
Ted
forget?
Cruz is talking, some guy goes, "You look like a sea monster."
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
And I was like,
And then he
"Oh,
also
that's
planted
cru-"
the story that Ted Cruz's dad killed JFK. There was a lot of comedy gold.
Yeah, his dad's Cuban, and it's a good. Morning
But
Joe. And I didn't even know this at the time. There were so many things coming out, but Trump goes, "Yeah, his assistant died that he's having an affair with. Someone should look into that." And they have made all these debunking articles because Morning Joe, when he shifted his politics to shit lib establishment, around
Yeah,
that time.
I don't know what happened with that guy.
Now he's sucking
also,
Trump's
he
dick
had,
in
he had
Mar-a-Lago.
to step down from being in the House of Representatives for a scandal that never really got
What?
exposed. But I don't
Tell
know.
us off
Yeah.
screen. Yeah, I am curious.
I'm
Morning Joe's
dying
a
to know.
He's a scumbag.
So
Morning Joe. No, I'm joking.
I found
Morning Joe.
I
Morning
found
Micah?
out-
All right.
I found out more. I guess because I was
Did
a
he
kid.
paint Jesus?
No, it's just behind him. But I guess because I was a kid that I didn't know some of these policies that he was putting forward. But I didn't know that he was tough on the border, but against vilifying immigrants, and was quoted like his thing was family values don't stop at the Rio Grande.
He opened it
don't-
up to people.
And don't forget, he spoke Spanish. And of course,
He
being
had
the-
a Spanish
being the
nephew.
governor, yeah, but and then of course being the governor of a border state gave him a lot of credibility on that issue. But when it came to Hispanic support, W actually moved the needle in a positive direction for Republicans. Republicans.
Yeah, and also still is, I found out later on, he's still working towards getting people who are coming here illegally as immigrants, trying to get them vetted and get them citizenship, which is very interesting.
Yep.
But he's also the guy
sanctuary cities.
He's also the guy who started the border wall. So
no,
he's
I know.
both of those
Yes,
things
obviously.
at the same time. Yeah.
Sanctuary cities were invented. We just played the montage of all of them talking about how we need a wall and you need legal immigration, not illegal. Hillary, every single person that we went, ooh, Trump should a wall, they all advocated that. That's just how it works. Sanctuary cities, because I was like, you always hear about, a sanctuary city. Republicans invented that. That was Reagan and Bush. That's all that neoliberal shit. Clinton did NAFTA, which was horrible for the economy.
I don't even know what NAFTA is.
I know, but
North American
the point
Free Trade
is,
Agreement. It was all right.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily against.
It worked so well they
globalism.
voted for Trump over Hillary. Put it that way, and all the Democrats couldn't believe it.
Well, something else interesting I found about one of his policies was the juvenile justice reform. He wanted to move gun ownership to 21. He wanted automatic detention for juveniles with guns and adults who provide them. And he wanted to start systems in schools to build social character building and a database to track gang activity within communities that had underage gang activity.
Okay.
To try to get those kids into rehabilitation programs. Some of this...
Tough love programs like what?
Well, I was going to say, I think some of this is good and some of it's really bad, like the tough love program.
Right. And then,
The
of
Menendez
course,
program?
after 9/11, none of these policies
None of this
were
happened.
ever thought
Yeah,
about
this is
again.
all froth
Yeah.
that goes away once the real stuff happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Once foreign policy
That's how you make
became-
sure the president can't do anything is they make all these promises that
But to that point, though, this is why I do think he was a compelling candidate, because he did sort of switch up a couple of things. Because, like, when you
Against
thought
the
about
party
when you
that
thought
you
about
would think.
Republicans, you thought Newt Gingrich, and you're just like, that
Yes.
guy definitely has a series of skeletons that he
Yeah.
eats soup out of.
Yeah.
You know, you just thought these guys are fucking such assholes.
He
But then
wants
W was a
15-year-olds to have guns.
Yes,
he's
but then W was a little bit more like, well, okay, he's kind of a good guy, you know, like
hey, I'll have
that's
a beer with them.
exactly.
Yeah. And
he doesn't hate children.
he's also, I found this interesting because I was always told growing up that the Republican Party was against social programs since I think it was
Not
Lincoln.
neocons and neolibs.
Since Lincoln, where they used to be pro-social programs, they started becoming against social programs. But he seems to go the opposite way, where he's for social programs.
Yeah, programs like Head Start and stuff like that, I don't think took a massive hit under him. But then, of course, again, after the war started, then all of that stuff.
Well, then the No Child Left Behind
Forgot.
left a bunch of kids
Oh, we're going to
behind.
get to that
Yeah,
in a
No
second.
Child was
so
a
that's
total
the next
fraud.
slide. But
Kurt, shut
Jesus.
up.
Okay,
Kurt, you
yeah.
have to shut up more.
Yeah. You have to try to stay on topic because you're going too into like Trump stuff that isn't apply.
I didn't even bring up Trump. Your guest did. You son
That's
of a bitch. Don't try. Hey, I got a George W. Bush-like memory. I'm trying to forget with alcohol.
No one chased you through the woods naked. Calm down. Well, so something interesting I found is even though this is the time where Bush Jr. starts to feel like his dad is accepting him, you know, he's made it to presidency.
Yeah.
His dad is highly critical of the White House advisors that he picks.
Mm-hmm.
However, almost all of them have been given to him from his dad. They're all people who worked for his dad.
Well,
that he
that's
took
why
on.
he knows they're scumbags.
He's hoping his son will see through that and
Right.
have.
And-
You can't be a real Christian son and run this country. Don't you understand? This is a Luciferian concept.
Yeah. Well, I think the other we'll
Prince
get into it.
Scowcroft is back.
Yeah, we'll
From
get
la-
into it. So Dick Cheney had been his father's defense secretary. Obviously, he gets picked for VP. Condoleezza Rice was his Russian specialist, and she's the protege of a guy named Brent Scowcroft.
Are you kidding?
And if you go back and look at one of our previous episodes about J.J. Brine and the Vector Gallery, you will remember that we talked about how he was working underneath Brent Scowcroft while he was most likely being a spy for the CIA.
Yeah, I'm sure he was, much like a lot of people worked under Roy Cohn.
Yeah.
Roy Cohn. Cohn?
Roy Cohn knew where the
I
bodies
think
were
you gotta
buried.
say it fast and soft.
Yeah.
Cohen.
Like your
All I know,
Roger
he was-
Stones and such.
He would
Yeah.
just people.
Look,
he was
Brent
always fucking dudes.
Scowcroft was the guy who worked closest with Bush Sr., and they co-wrote a book together called, what was it? Transformation or something?
Wait, what?
The book, you remember Brent Scowcroft and
You like books, Kurt?
Sr. wrote
No,
together?
I only heard
See
of
how
that.
it feels?
Anyways.
Do you see how that feels, Kurt?
Wait,
Yeah.
but I didn't read that book. How would I
know,
remember
but you
it?
pointed it out and knew what it was. Okay, well, he doesn't remember.
I know older play.
Someone doesn't have a photographic memory.
I know, it doesn't sound like it to
Wait,
me.
what are you talking about? Who, the artist J.J. Bryan?
No, the book that we showed on the last episode where it was the Brent Scowcroft and George H.W.
Well, do you remember it?
I think it was called Transformation of America, but it's not.
Oh, it was called something
Is
with
it?
transformation. Yeah, that's gross.
I don't remember the
Fantastic.
name. I'm sorry. I didn't write it down. Anyways, Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld, and also that guy Wolfowitz, is that his name?
Yep.
Wolfo
Yes.
something?
Oh, he's a great
These
guy.
people use their enhanced power to poison the flow of information to the president's desk, specifically about Iraq, but about many other things, and about the supposed weapons of mass destruction. Something I found interesting about this is, like, I feel like I want to put the blame on Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld and all these people. Bush Sr. puts the blame on Bush Jr. because he
Yes.
says it's your fault for allowing
That's
those
right.
people around.
He's the one in
He's
charge.
Lannister. What's Lannister's name on Game of Thrones?
don't remember.
He's the
But,
dad.
I mean, that is it.
He said the buck stops with
here.
you. Yeah. So
I'm
it's
trying
your
to make
fault.
you understand responsibility, son. I put a psychopath lizard underneath you.
Right.
Who's doing shit. What are you gonna do? He's like Saddam Hussein. Basically, he grew up like Saddam Hussein's kids grew up.
Yeah. That
It is true though, and you
But
know
also
that's
you-
why.
But
but
this
also, no, it's
turtle
a
man
great-
behind
you know,
it.
heavy is heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Oh yeah,
That's what they say.
But
Yeah.
also, at the same time, you're using the entire country and millions of people's lives as a lesson to your child.
Well, that's how important they are. Don't you understand?
That's
Absolutely
sick.
horrible.
What
Heinous.
is so sick about
And
a high-
especially when your child might be like a little bit retarded.
Yeah, no, he's touched. He is touched in every possible way.
This is as I'm working on this episode, I'm starting to feel worse and worse for George W. Bush, and I hated
I just
him.
wanna
I
point something-
always hated him.
I just wanna
that's
point
the
something
duality
out.
of him, though.
all his speeches and gaffes and whatever, okay? Not only was he better than Biden, Kamala Harris is not even close to the level of charm and intelligence.
We're not even talking. But yes,
I am.
But I will say
No,
the
you
idea.
trash this guy. I watch Kamala Harris
I'm not
babble like a
trashing him.
fucking idiot.
I'm saying
No.
I feel bad for him.
But that was kind of one of Harris's charms, is that she's funny, she's light.
Who's?
And
Harris's.
That was
People
one
who
of that was
like
they were
her.
trying
Do
to flip.
twits think that that's charming to
People
her?
do
Many did.
like her.
Many did. Yeah, many
Yes.
liked her.
That's the difference between improv and stand-up.
But people
the
think-
culture is so insane.
But people
But
think,
with
why would anyone like him?
W.
Yeah.
You think he is too stupid to be evil.
Yeah.
But in reality, he's stupidity.
That's called
his
sincerity.
perceived stupidity actually greatly helped him, because they're like, he doesn't even know. Like, there's no way he
Right.
could actually be doing all this bad shit on purpose.
No, that's
he's
true.
just Mr.
Yes.
Magooing his way in the
Yeah.
White House, but it was all on purpose.
Yeah.
But okay, this is what impresses me about how twisted the mentality is. So stupidity and believing in the system that's obviously fake are two different things.
Well, I was about to say, because I agreed with you in that, but like half. I think in the beginning, there was a certain level of ignorance and stupidity, because it seemed like while he was slowly becoming more aware of like everything around me is
Sure.
evil. There
Yeah.
seemed to be a progression.
It's possible.
So I find that interesting also. So
Yeah.
Cheney made repeated trips to CIA headquarters. This is all documented to visit someone in Langley. To bully analysts into producing more hawkish reports, while at the same time Rumsfeld at the Pentagon was creating evidence
Right.
from Iraqi exiles, and
The photos that-
essentially to say we need to be more
This
aggressive.
is why his paintings are good,
The
by the way.
photos that they leaked out to like CNN and stuff like that, which of course is just trash and not news. It was horrible. Like, they would just have pictures of like a garage, and then they would circle it,
Yeah.
and they'd point
And-
to it, and then they would like write scary.
Mass description.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was such
They've
trash.
never stopped doing that.
Yeah,
That is
it was like a kindergartner drawing a treasure
It was
map.
it
It
was
was
unreal.
insane.
Dude, now if I'm trapped on a tarmac for some, I don't watch any cable news. Obviously, I'm
No,
not
it's garbage.
an old person that falls for Nigerian scams. But if I'm trapped on a tarmac having to watch these fucking like MSNBC
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
CNN or Fox,
Ugh.
they all do the same thing, and they've degraded over time. It wasn't as bad as it is now. Now what they do is they have a nonsense story that I don't care about. that I heard you the first time. You don't got to bring it up again. They cover it all day, and
They
it's
just repeat it.
and it's never something
Well,
important.
do you remember the Malaysian plane?
Yes, I do.
There was 5 years of fucking nonstop coverage
Jeff
on where
Zucker,
the hell the
what's his name,
Malaysian plane
Zucker
is.
from CNN, who when he
Yes,
ran
I
it.
met him a couple of times because I worked in TV news.
I wrote a joke about him for Ross for the roast of him that he looks like his own. Well, first I say he looked like Henry Kissinger's dick because Henry was supposed to be there.
Sure.
But he made it. He looks like his own dick. But that piece of shit.
Very
I'm
good.
sitting here watching CNN, and I can
political.
remember the moment. And at the time, Al Jazeera America was on, which was better news than any of them.
It absolutely was, especially during the war.
Yes, and so then I'm watching CNN, and the Malaysian plane, which it's crazy to think about now, it's probably some UFO thing, but at the time,
No, it's in the fucking ocean.
at the time,
It's crashed in the ocean.
At the time, they go all day the Malaysian plane, and I'm like, okay. Then they're like, here's a graphic of what a plane would look like wet,
Yeah, exactly.
and I'm like, and so
in the
that
ocean.
was Zucker's big innovation of CNN because he made
Yes.
the Today Show longer.
He's a-
So then he went to CNN and was like, what if we just cover the Malaysian plane?
I overheard him talking to one of their analysts about how to break down news stories. Anyway, I produced
How?
on Fox News for 2 years.
How did he explain it?
Yeah, I mean, I am
When
curious
you watch,
as well.
when you listen to CNN and you listen to their reporters, you'll notice a very similar cadence, beginning, middle, and end. And the beginning is the same as the end, and the middle is like kind of they'll bring in the other perspective, but after
Barely.
they sandwich it with
Yeah.
two different things that'll be in
you know what that
disagreement.
is? You know what you're describing?
And that's what Fox News, and that's what television news
Dude,
is.
you know what you're
That makes
describing?
sense.
That's fascinating what you said. You know Dune, the book and the movie?
Yeah, not really. I'm not a nerd.
Okay, well,
It's a book.
It
Remember,
has
he doesn't
worms.
read.
I don't. I especially
You
don't
didn't
read
see
about
the
fucking worms.
movie?
No. Also, there's no dialogue in the movie. No, I don't care about
Okay.
sand.
There's a lot of
I hate sand shit.
so listen, here's a reference for your ex-friends. Do the voice they call it, where it sounds like a crazy like God alien voice that makes you do things.
Right.
The author Frank Herbert, that is not what the
Yes.
voice is. The thing you just described is what the voice is. He was teaching them to do the voice. It's the same as any comedian that's good or a musician. It's hypnosis.
Yeah.
And that's what the fucking boop 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 bop, and you have to figure out.
Exactly.
That's the voice. That's for what you call mind control, which is not a Pulp Fiction thing. It's our standard way of life.
Yeah.
And you use the voice. That's wild, dude.
Yeah.
No,
Also,
you
it's
heard
a
that
voice
in
coming
person.
through your
Yeah, of
TV, literally. So that
Dude,
just
the shit's not Pulp Fiction. It's just mundane shit. And because you see so many movies of wild, it's not like that.
No.
The regular basic things you think are normal are a form of mass manipulation at all times.
Mm-hmm.
well, that's positive. Thank you guys for watching this episode, which has been oddly political, but we have no choice.
What do you mean,
'cause
oddly? It's about George W. Bush.
Yeah, it was going to get a little political.
It's got to. I mean, and also I feel like it
How
would.
good these paintings
look,
are.
I can't wait to get to the paintings. Yeah, let's psychoanalyze
great.
those.
But this
Well,
is,
we're going
dude,
to.
Did he use the blood of children that he killed? Or to paint?
No,
Or-
dude, he's got real pain. Like, I didn't believe his pain. She told me because she's an art historian.
Yeah.
And because I only saw his foot in the bathtub picture we all laughed at.
Yeah.
And she goes, no, his paintings are good. And I'm like, really? And she
They
showed
are-
me, and there
You
are.
keep ruining things for the next episode.
No, we should say the paintings are good because why would you care about his paintings?
Yeah.
He's
so,
not Hunter painting with to pay his rent.
Yeah. So I think that when we come back, we're going to psychoanalyze all of these paintings and we're going to talk about 9/11.
Yeah, those are the vet team names.
Oh, look at that. How nice. The
So
ones he didn't give any
Dude, they
armor
know
for.
it was Cheney,
All
not
right.
him.
Thank you. Thank you guys for coming.
Bye, guys.
Yeah.